We'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Franklin Redevelopment Commission to order, and we'll start off with roll call. Paul Buning. Here. Brian Deppie. Here. Drew Eggers. Okay. Bob Hukin is here. Christy Ott is here. And Richard Wirtz is down hip. And we'll declare that we have a quorum. And we'll go ahead and start the meeting. And the first item of business for the minutes of the March 19, 2019 meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, and thus the minutes are approved. Any old business to bring up? Okay. We are going to have under new business, there's going to be an item E. Matter of fact, we'll just go ahead and do it now. And is Mark here? No, there he is. Okay. Come on up.
Good morning. For the Jefferson Street project, the contractor encountered some unknown underground storage tanks. There were four. Three of those were near the intersection of Yandy's and Jefferson Street, near the Phillips 66 station. The other was at Corral and Jefferson Street. This required some testing, removal of the tanks, removal of regulated materials, disposal of those materials, transportation and testing. So we have a change order in the amount of $55,554 that the Board of Works approved last night at the meeting. But we'll need to figure out how to pay for this, so we would like to ask the Redevelopment Commission to take action necessary to prepare a resolution to pay for this change order.
Now say again where it was at. It was on Crowell Street and
That one at Crowell and Jefferson, and there were three at Jefferson and Yandy.
okay. Is that part of the is that part of the Yandy Street area project, or
No, this is part of the Jefferson.
Jefferson Street? Okay.
All these tanks were within the right-of-way of Jefferson Street.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to have to do, it appears, is ask for a resolution for, is that a set amount?
Yes, it is, $55,554.
Okay, so we're going to really need to have a resolution prepared and advertised and brought before our meeting next month for consideration then, correct? Okay. Any questions of Mark? I'm aware that, again, the Board of Works has heard this and they've already approved it. And so they're looking to the Redevelopment Commission to fund this, so.
And we did need to approve it last night because the work has been done.
Has been done.
So we need to proceed.
Okay.
Timing wise on paying that, is that going to be a problem with our next meeting not being for another month?
It's going to be probably 1 to 2 weeks before we would get an invoice from NDOT. They generally give us 30 days to pay those. We can ask them if they would grant us a little bit longer period of time.
Okay. That was part of the project in which RDC money was being used anyway as part of the match.
That
as part of the
I believe this this project was being paid 100% by relinquishment funds.
Okay.
There were some funds that were available for the local match, so I'm not sure how much, if any, RDC has paid on the base construction amount, but we do have change orders. We've had change orders that we've had to pay for, I guess.
And all of the relinquishment funds have been used, so there's nothing left to cover that?
For this project, yes.
Okay. And how many tanks was it?
4. Yes. They were actually within 2 separate phases of the project, so that's why they're listed on the change order as 2 different line items.
All right, what we're looking for then is a motion for authorization for legal counsel to prepare the needed docs and get this thing ready for the May meeting then.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Eggers and second by Duning. Any further discussion?
Do we have money in the budget or someplace for this?
Cash flows are tight right now.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Kind of over a rock and a hard place, though. I mean, we gotta pay for it.
Well, I understand that, but I'd like some idea, maybe a little memo for next meeting of that, where it's gonna come from.
I can say this, that I don't really believe that, again, it all has to do with the timing. It's not that the funds aren't there, it's just a matter of the timing of the cash flows. And recall that back on January 28th, there was a joint meeting of the Redevelopment Commission as well as the City Council, in which we reviewed the timing of the cash flows as far as expenditures and receipts that were coming in. And if we determine that there's a possibility that we're going to not have those funds available for the short term, there might be some discussion again with the City Council, maybe to establish some sort of funding arrangement for the short term. But I feel confident, BJ, that one way or another, we'll have the funds to do it. So,
That's my concern.
yeah. Is that fair?
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I was gonna mention it later on the cash flow analysis, there's a large sum, $1.48 million shown in the last quarter of this year for the South Main Street reconstruction from South Street to 31, and so that particular payment is what will potentially put us in that situation. So we'll have, every month, we'll be looking at that, and if we need to transfer funds at some point, we'll make sure we have that before that payment occurs, but that's kind of the one that.
You don't feel at this point the 55,000, at least until we get into the fourth quarter, that's it.
Oh, no.
So there's no, this can be paid now, so. Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and we'll see you again next month. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay, go ahead and I'll probably will turn to Krista and or Rob on these next four items. These are updates of some things that are in the process right now.
Just wanted to get an update on the Shell building. I know you're not Chris, but
For the record, I'm Robert Carmody, Director of Business Development with Runabout Construction, here on behalf of Chris King. Just wanted to come by today and say that I'm sure all of you have probably seen the building recently. We paused on the construction so as to accommodate the wishes of a potential customer, which unfortunately didn't work out. So now we're in the position where we need to order the siding, and once we get color selection from the city, then we can proceed with ordering the siding and then finish up the building.
is that something that, I mean, when should we expect that, or do I need to contact somebody?
We have samples coming in. I was hoping to have them today, but unfortunately they didn't arrive yesterday. So any day we should have samples that we can get with you and get your color selections, and we can order the siding. And once we order the siding, it should take about 6 to 8 weeks to come in and put it up. So that's where we are.
Any other questions of Bob? Yeah, Mayor?
No, I just got a comment. That's not what Chris King told us about, what, a month ago? That we was already going to be ordering the siding, and I've had a conversation with Chris that we'd get the siding ordered, and they would be out, matter of fact, this month, putting the siding up. So I want to suggest that we try to expedite this and
Okay.
quit dragging our feet.
All right. Okay. My understanding is we don't have color selections yet, so I'll get to the bottom of that, and then we can proceed with getting it ordered and installing it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, US 31 TIF district expansion update. That probably has more to do with the bond issue.
Yeah,
just FYI, I'll be going to the planning commission tonight to request their consent to the proposal. And then city council should be getting it around May 6th. And then it'll be back to you at your May 21st meeting for the real meat of it, which would be the release and the public hearing, etc.
Any questions? Okay, probably might as well move on to the auction barn.
We're halfway through the closing. The buyer's side of the transaction happened yesterday. Money's been wired. The seller's side of the transaction should occur today about 1 o'clock. And if that does, then we'll be the owner of the auction barn today. Last week, the seller requested that instead of giving them 10 days after closing to vacate, that we give them 30. And they ran that by the mayor, and with his recommendation and Bob's recommendation, that's been agreed to. So I think I probably ought to ask you to ratify that, to ratify the change from 10 days post-closing to make it 30 days instead.
Yeah, we don't have any immediate plans for the building other than just once they get out, to get in and start looking at it.
Right, and I'll give a little update about the rest of it, also, if you don't mind. I know Bob, you'd asked me to do that. I talked to Joe Kazak yesterday, and they plan on turning the property over to us May the 1st. So at that time, the city will have asked them over the property. And then I also spoke with Dan Harris. And Rob, you may double check this. I thought we were going to try to get it at May 1st, and he's telling me it's in the contract is July the 1st. So you might double check that. And then he also stated he may ask for an extension, but I'm not in favor of giving an extension because we want to get in there and start taking care of the property, cleaning it up. And so we might want to send a letter that come July the 1st, or if that's the date, or whatever that date is, that we expect to take possession as in the contract. And one reason that I suggest that we don't give an extension is just being used as a warehouse, not as a business. So if it was a business, I'd probably look at it a little different. So if the redevelopment commission don't mind, I would ask that you follow up on that.
Okay.
And then we have met with a designer, engineering firm, to start looking at the plans for the amphitheater. As far as tearing the buildings down, we can go ahead and take the fences out, clean the property up. But as far as tearing the buildings down, we have to wait until we get a plan, submit it to DNR, and then DNR approves what's going back, and then we can go in and demolish the buildings. So, any other questions on?
No. We get, question did come up about insurance on the building, and Krista takes care of that. Once we take possession legally of the property, she'll contact the agent, and we will have coverage. And this is really the only one of those that we're going to probably need, at least property damage at this point. I'm sure liability is another issue, but
I will just add too with the sales barn property. The Parks Department is going, and the Street Department is going to work to clean it up and get it ready for a storage area. We won't be tearing that building down. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, we need a motion for ratification of the extension of the possession change from 10 days to 30 days.
So, second.
Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that ratification has been approved. And we also have the Youngs Creek Development Area Status Update. Mayor just may have given us that too, so if there's no questions, we'll move on then to the financial reports. And Krista will turn to you on this.
Sure, I'll bring those up. So we have the March 2019 financial report, which I updated to include the Frechette resolution that was approved at your last meeting. And so that changed the balance a little bit. Now, remember, again, this is assuming that all of these projects are completed by the end of the year, which they will not be. And then this also does not take into consideration any anticipated reimbursements from the state for projects that we have matches on. So this is the reason we do the cash flow worksheet, which I'll go over next, is because this is not really an accurate picture of what our financial state exactly is, because all of these things are not going to occur by the end of this year. So I have those for you. It looks like it didn't link properly. It only has through resolution 1905. So I'm not sure why that got cut off. So I can email you those updated, because for some reason the rest of those resolutions got left off of there. Not sure why. But the total is correct, because I'm looking at it here and it's the same as what I have. So mine shows through resolution 1927, but this one doesn't. So I'll email that out to you. But are there any questions on that one? Oh, the only other thing I wanted to point out was the line on the TIF grant reimbursements. $158,298.92 is what we've received in reimbursements from the state through the end of March. And when you look at the next report, the cash flow analysis, we had anticipated $453,000 is what we had on this last month as reimbursements from the state. And that's just a timing issue. It's not that they haven't reimbursed us for things, it's just a timing of those projects being completed. So the green number here at the bottom, it shows those reimbursements. So I've just pushed the rest of those reimbursements back by a quarter. So timing wise, those are going to be a little bit delayed, but it doesn't affect our overall dollar amounts for the year. There are a couple numbers on here that I've put in italics for the second quarter. I believe that these are projects that we are completed with. Mark's following up on these for me. So 14,000, 116,000, and then there are two projects up above as well that are in italic. I believe that we should be able to rescind those amounts. So that will help our cash flow a little bit as well. That there's another $12,000 here and $7,500 for the alley project. Those are all complete and all those inspections are done. I think we were waiting to see if there were any outstanding invoices on those, but we're going to try to clean those up for the May meeting, so that'll help the cash flow as well. The Frechette project was already on your cash flow, so that didn't change. It just needed to be an updated 2019 resolution, so no changes there. Any questions on either of those? The blue line shows our fund balance at the end of this quarter, and that's very conservative. Our balance was greater than that for that quarter, so we are.
So it's safe to say we're not taking on any significant projects this year until we get, we've got funding for the South Main Street project, which is a big item, plus the roundabout, which was that's currently underway. And again, these numbers are not just looked at just right before this meeting, but they're looked at throughout the month. And there's been great occasions where I've had meetings with the mayor and with Krista. We've sat down and gone through these numbers pretty carefully, just to make certain that everything works out okay. We were hoping that had the Shell building sold, that would have returned about $350,000 to the cash flow, but that did not occur. And so that will, again, that's why there's some urgency to kind of get that one finished up, so that we can get that marketed and sold as well. But essentially, we've got two big projects right now Go back a few years ago, we were hoping that when the roundabouts on the east side were being considered, we were hoping to have grant money that would pay for, really, I know the one we're working on now, that we were hoping that would have been funded through a grant. That did not occur. And so that's where the TIF money actually had to be utilized pretty much 100% in order to complete that project.
Right.
And so any further roundabout work on that side of town has kind of been pushed back until the cash flows get kind of caught up. And we knew going into the bond issue that bond issue was going to, at some point, limit us on the ability to do what we had done in prior years, primarily because it's about half of, a little bit under the half of the normal receipts that we have. But again, that bond issue was done for the reasons that we're seeing right now, partly the work being done out on the east side of town and what's occurring there with 2 really quality hotels coming in, the completion of the garment building and some other projects. So anyway, I make no excuses on any of this. I think that, but I can defend what we've been doing. I think, again, we continue to monitor this very carefully and just make sure that we're handling this thing in a responsible manner. So any questions anytime, feel free to call me or Krista, and we'll try to answer your questions. Anything else under, any questions on this report?
I just wanted to mention too, the Shell Building land purchase under this resolution 2019-19. So that's our final payment that's due in June of this year. We were hoping that if that sold, we wouldn't have to make that land payment this year, but we will have to do that most likely. So that's also something that Bob mentioned. And then we've already made those first 2 years of payments, so we were hoping to get some of that money back from closing, but without that project happening, we've got some time to wait on that. So.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions out in the public about any of what we've discussed this morning? Krista, do you have an update on a meeting that's going to occur tomorrow evening? I'm sorry, on Thursday evening.
Oh, yes.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. So Thursday evening at 6 p.m., there's a public meeting at the Johnson County Museum on North Main Street. This is for the Downtown Cultural Arts and Entertainment District, where we have a steering committee for a long-range plan, and so we're looking for input from the public on existing and future arts programming, things like that for this downtown district. And so we'll have stations set up and volunteers at each of those to take down information from the people that attend. So we'd like to see a good turnout there. There's also a public survey as part of this process. It's available. There's a link on this agenda that takes you to that survey, but it's also on our city's homepage. I can show you here. It's on the main page. If you scroll down from the top of our website under city updates, there's the Downtown Cultural Arts and Entertainment District, and then there's a link to take the survey here. So maybe take you 10 or 15 minutes. If everybody could do that, we would greatly appreciate that as well.
Thank you, Krista. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Mayor, any further updates?
Nothing new.
Nothing new? Dana?
Just wanted to let you know that about 2 weeks ago, through any partnership, we had 8 site selectors come in. We did kind of a regional update. I was able to present the Shell Building to them on that. I'm continuing to submit that. I actually have an RFI sitting on my desk this morning for another project I'm going to submit the Shell Building for. So it's back to being marketed full strength, sending everything out as much as we can. So we're working hard on it.
We know you are. Thank you. Rosie, anything on the chamber front?
Our next event, our next monthly meeting, we're going to talk about employee retention, and that is May 9th at Thomas Park.
Okay. I don't see Emily. Yeah.
I was going to report for Emily. The farmer's market opens May 11th.
We got Strawberries on the Square coming up in May as well.
May 24th.
May 24th. So the summer activities getting started. Mark.
The planning commission will be considering the amended economic development plan for the US 31 TIF district at the meeting tonight at 6 o'clock.
Okay, that's that expansion that we had.
Yes.
Okay, to pull in the floodway down in here. Okay. Okay. Okay, anybody else? Last, anything on the community front?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay. If there's no other business, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.